Hello, and welcome to The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I was going to make a more edited video, but I cannot be bothered. So, this is the ABCs glitch, the auto-build cancel slide. The auto-build cancel being this. And the slide being, well, you will see. We also call this glitch the box. And we call it the box because of the box. You will see the box. The gist of this is not building a box, obviously, because that would just be a box. We need to make the box. You can do this with only one schematic if you, for some reason, wanted to. It's not related to the amount of schematics. It's not related to the type of schematic. It's specifically related to this menu coming up. Because you see it's slightly delayed if you time it right. Like that. You can do it while doing something else. You can also see that if you pause buffer, you saw right there, the menu was visible for a small amount of time, which means that on the next frame it will appear. But you can't actually do anything that matters while you're using a room, so there's not really any utility to that so far. The interesting thing isn't when you open it in a different room, it's actually when you open it in itself. Because, give me a second, I'll show. If you press A here, you'll just go into this menu, because it will just cancel the auto builds menu because you're no longer in auto build. Essentially, it doesn't matter if you put it onto something else because nothing else can use it. However, what is interesting is when you put it onto itself. As you can see, there's a return to list option here. And if I press that, I will return to the list, which is normal. And I can select a different schematic and it's fine. However, what is interesting is if you cancel and then open, then you can open the menu, but you're not in auto build. Like, you're not using it. So now if I select the schematic appears, but I'm not using auto build. The timing for it is, I believe, a single frame, so it's not the easiest thing, but it's certainly not that hard. It's the second frame, I'll show you, because if you do it the first frame... The frick just happened? If you do it the first frame, then you'll see the purple ring is still there. And if you do it later, then you just take out your weapon, you don't open the menu. So it is a specific timing right there. As long as the purple circle is gone, it's okay. From what I can tell, you do not actually need the purple circle to fully appear. That was one thing that we originally thought for some reason. Right there. It's kind of just funny in general. The schematic has collision regardless of if there's items in it or not. But when there are items in it, it's very interesting. Because now you have physical items, because, well, the schematic does have collision, it does not collide with Link. However, since now this does, we can do something like this, which does have weird results a lot of the time, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, this is my second time recording this bit because I did a terrible job the first time. So essentially, I was trying to explain front and back because it's sort of confusing. If you look, you can see that the schematic is facing a specific direction in my history, and when I select it, the schematic will also face that direction. If I do the same thing but from the side, it's a different schematic and it's sideways now. I believe that the reason for this is so that you can have different orientation saved, so that it doesn't always save the same orientation, because that would be annoying. You can't change the schematic just by changing the orientation. It does not work like that. You have to actually change something about it, but whatever way you're facing when you place the part on, then that is the way that the schematic will be facing in autobuild. The reason that this matters is because if you go into autobuild, you'll see that if I select this one, the one part is facing me and the back part is facing away. But if I choose this schematic, it's facing sideways. And it wants the part that is closest to Link to stay being the part that is closest to Link. So I call it the front. So in this case, this side is the front, and this side is the back. But if we switch to this one, then this part is the front, and this part is the back. The more that you go to the side, the more it will spin. And the more that you go to the back, the more it will spin as well. But if you go to the front, then you won't gain very much speed, but you also will not spin hardly at all. I also can't remember if I explained this properly, but when you're ascending through something, you want it to be still, and you don't want it to be pushed into a wall. Because if you push something into a wall, well, it is in this state, you'll see that if it goes away from the wall, it'll go forward. And any amount of momentum when you are ascending is a huge issue. It's also worth noting, you can move it around if the item that you're moving it with is big enough. I'm not really sure if that's actually the criteria that there is, but from my experience, if it is too small, it will not move it, like, at all. So when I use the big wheels, almost every time, it will move it relatively easily. But when I use other things, it doesn't as much. As you see. This is the box. You have a box so that you do not fall out, and you have a slope. The slope is so that when you go up it, it will gain height. Quite quickly, because this is on the front. The interesting thing is generally you will only be able to turn one direction in the front. If you try and turn the other direction, it just won't. You can turn that direction by going to the back, but then it will be very quick turning. Do be warned, I'm saying all of this like I know what I'm talking about. I know why a lot of it works, but I do not know how. How is not something that you learn on day 6, unfortunately. I still am confused by physics, and we all should be, because this is possible. I didn't really have an ending. I had a lot of other random comments I made, but none of them are super important or worth making the video last for 30 minutes. This is a very odd thing. The use cases are not really obvious yet, I feel like. Like, we have the box, but in terms of speedrunning, it's gonna have to be played with a lot to get to something that is not usable, but to something that is worth using. Thank you for coming by. I'm sure that there are many other people who are much more well-known than me who have videos on this. I thank you for watching mine. I probably won't do normal Tears of the Kingdom content, because that is not really my place. I can't compete in that area. But I am one for documentation and also a glitch hunter, as shown by this. I did it! I successfully found a glitch. I've been doing this for like 8 years, and this is the first glitch I found. It's fantastic. It feels so good. I hope to make a more thorough glitch documentation than we've had for Breath of the Wild. I hope that I will be able to make something sort of like the ZSR stuff for Ocarina of Time. Just useful resources to explain things in more detail, which I don't even know if that's what that does, but that's what I'd imagine it does. I just have found myself wondering what the heck is happening so many times in Breath of the Wild, and I would like to answer the question. I may find more things, I kind of doubt it. That's enough luck for one lifetime if I do say so myself. But I will definitely cover things more extensively than other places, if I can help it. Because I feel like many people like to do an overview of how something is done, maybe why it's done, but it's very rare to have an extensive video as to why the theory of things. I don't know if I can really do that for a while, because, well, we have no theory, we just do it. But, eventually. So long, and, enjoy yourself. This is, peak enjoyment right now.